Hey everyone, it's Tanya here from Meraki Coaching, here to chat about what the planets are doing and where all the energy is for the week beginning Monday, the 30th of March. I hope that you're all taking care of yourselves and that you are adjusting to this new pace of life. It's not forever, it's just what we need to do right now. And, you know, when we can accept that and when we can retreat and know that we're doing it for the greater good, and that the sooner we do it and the more we isolate ourselves, the better off everybody else will be. I feel like the quicker, easier, hopefully, this whole situation with the coronavirus will be. I have been getting a lot of questions about the astrology of this and when will the astrology tell us when lockdown will end? I don't think it's going to end anytime soon. It's not definitely not going to end this week. Sorry to say. But if you are wanting some more support and wanting to know what's going on for you in your own chart and how you can work with this and maybe what opportunities you can seize, I am offering 50% off my core self one-on-one, one-off session. So if you're interested in learning more about that, you can book below, and that's just throughout the month of April. So if you're wanting that extra guidance, that extra support, it's 50% off my normal rates for that to help you move through this with as much ease as possible. So there's plenty going on this week. Let me show you the charts and we can have a little chat. So this is Monday, and what we've got happening, first off, is that Mercury has reached the point where he went retrograde way back on the 17th of February. Can you remember that back that far? Like that feels like a lifetime ago. So Mercury came to the 12 degrees of Pisces. He moved backwards into 28 Aquarius, and then he turned direct, and he's been retracing his steps here. Now, when he was in retrograde, it was a pretty crazy time. There was a lot of confusion. There was a lot of misinformation happening. We didn't know what to think. There were crazy things of people buying. That's when all the toilet paper hoarding started, because we weren't thinking clearly. Because we didn't have the information that we needed about COVID-19, and there were a lot of rumors and there was a lot of speculation. And we still have been quite unclear with it, but I think people have been a little bit more rational since he's been direct. But as Mercury now moves past this point where I keep calling him he, but Mercury actually doesn't have a gender, where the planet keeps moving forward. All of these things that we visited back when he was in retrograde, all of these things that we've been able to tidy up since and put more things in place, like on a global scale, supermarkets have been putting restrictions on what we can buy, just so there's enough for everybody, that sort of thing. And in your own life, whatever was coming up for you during the retrograde period, perhaps those themes have been coming up for you to revisit. Maybe you haven't noticed them so much with everything else going on, but they might have been there for you to work with. And so now that Mercury is free to move forward, we're going to be on a bit of a clearer path. It's still be in Pisces, so Mercury can be, a little bit, a little bit drunk, as I said on the Girl Squad podcast, when he's in Pisces, and it's still a time to be really connected to your intuition, and really connected to doing what is right for the rest of humanity, because Pisces is all about the collective and the subconscious and what's hidden. So all of these things are still going on until the 12th of April, when Mercury leaves Pisces and heads into Aries. So we're going to have a little bit more oomph then, but we still have a couple more weeks of this time. So if you are having to change your work direction for any way, tap into that sense of intuition about what you can do moving forward, rather than getting caught up in the fear. it's a really pertinent time to be practicing meditation and mindfulness as well. So do that and see what insights drop in for you. There's a few other big things going on. So this is now Tuesday's chart. So Saturn has entered into Aquarius last week, and Aquarius is all about the group and the collective. And the words that get bandied about for Aquarius is freedom and change and innovation, and then Saturn comes along with its restrictions and its focus and its discipline. And with so many people in the world at the moment being isolated in their homes, there are all these restrictions on groups and how we gather. There's restrictions on how we communicate with each other, but we're also being quite innovative in that. I know I've been having a lot of video conferences, video chats with people, and still being able to keep in touch that way. So we're using technology, which is very much an Aquarian thing, while we're in this time of restriction and lockdown. And now Saturn's going to be in Aquarius until July, and then it will retrograde back into Capricorn. And then at the end of the year, head back into Aquarius, and where we've got a couple of years of Saturn in Aquarius. So again, the things that crop up now, social restrictions, changing the way we gather in groups, changing the way you do business perhaps. All of these things are just a little taste of what's ahead. Now, hopefully that doesn't mean that we're going to be in quarantine for a couple of years while Saturn goes through Aquarius, but maybe it means that collectively we can come up with these new ways of being together and new ways of just being with ourselves. Now, we have Mars, who has been traveling through Capricorn and will be meeting up with Saturn. And, we can, with this conjunction, can see more authority on restrictions come through. It might just be that we're really going to be hitting a bit of a nadir with everything that's going on. Like, things might be starting to plateau in some places, but things are going to be locked down even more, I feel, with this Mars Saturn conjunction, and Mars being a planet of authority and also our inner warrior and how we assert ourselves and get things done. There can be a lot of frustration coming up, and a lot of frustration with ourselves for being stuck in our houses all the time. So just take the care that you need for yourself, and again, try and be innovative on how you express this Mars pent-up energy. Like, do some exercise, get outside when you can, like, especially if you've got a backyard or a balcony. Like, fresh air is great. Like, Aquarius is an air sign, so it's all about the air and flowing through. But yeah, we'll feel a bit tense, I think, at the start of the week, especially with this conjunction. And yeah, we are going to have to work through some new ways. And at the same time, we have Jupiter and Pluto meeting up. And then this is a conjunction which it's going to, the Mars Saturn conjunction is only going to last a few days, but the Pluto Jupiter one is going to last a bit longer. So Pluto, of course, is the big transformer, and Jupiter is all about expansion, and it's in Capricorn, which is all about business and governments and things like that. So an expansion of that's how we do business, an expansion of what the governments say, do, act, what they give to people, because Jupiter also brings luck and abundance. So while we're starting to feel restricted and or pent up because of the Mars Saturn stuff, we'll also be seeing expansion in other ways, which will hopefully alleviate some of that tension. Now, if that's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it's all pretty much working through the same type of themes. Nothing really, massively significant to mention until we get to Saturday, where I feel like not Mars, Mercury and Neptune meeting up in Pisces is going to be have a bit of an impact. So Mercury is our thinking mind, and Neptune is seen as our higher mind. So again, this meeting up between our ego and our soul. Do we what we need to do for the collective? So once we've had all this tension of Saturn and Mars going on, a few days later, we'll be able to have a breather and be like, okay, well, these restrictions are for the greater good, and what can I do to help and to do my part in this, and in this amazing time of history. And then we've got our lovely friend Venus also changing signs. So she's moving from her home sign of Taurus into Gemini. And Gemini, you know, it's an air sign. It's the first of the air signs. It's about communication and ideas. It's the social butterfly of the zodiac. And Venus in Gemini is going to really help us value communication, and especially communication with the people closest to us, because Gemini rules the third house, which is all about siblings, our like immediate family, our immediate surroundings. So it's how we are communicating and working with our immediate environment, which in some ways has gotten so much physically smaller, but in other ways we're expanding thanks to technology and you know, being able to communicate with people overseas. So it's going to be a time when our relationships, I think, are going to go through, we'll be valuing how we communicate with others. So for those people who we're seeing more of, the ones that we live with, our communication with them is definitely changing. For the ones that we aren't seeing so much, like those our friends, family, colleagues that we don't live with, we're changing how we communicate with them. And there's going to be all these shifts and these ways that we connect happening, and you know, more apps like House Party coming out, and valuing the connection with other people rather than connecting with the stuff that we have. So yeah, it is all about community, and there is going to be this aspect over to Mars here in Aquarius, all about community. So this whole drive towards communicating with our community. Now Venus is going to be in Gemini until August, and she has a retrograde in May, June. So we've got a bit of time to work on this. And so whether or not these restrictions on, you know, lockdown and isolating are lifted before August, we're still going to be valuing this communication with people. So, you know, perhaps we'll be able to see people in person in a couple of months' time, and we'll have, you know, better conversations, spend more quality time with them, because we'll be valuing that face-to-face a little bit more. So yeah, and then we have Sunday, and again, like there's going to be, the moon will be heading from Leo, switching into Virgo at one point during the day, having this nice aspect to Uranus, which again is helping us to value change and to work on this change and to work with it rather than resist it. So again, really interesting times to be alive and to experience. Just a reminder again, if you want to know how all of this is affecting your own chart, 50% off my Aligned to Self sessions, and I will be having online full moon workshops and other planetary workshops coming up as well. I'll let you know when they're all scheduled and how you can join in on those to, you know, really embrace this time of getting to know yourself and getting to know yourself through your birth chart and the archetypes that the planets play out and how they play out for you. So have fun, take care, stay safe, stay sane, and I hope all your loved ones are healthy and sane as well. So I'll chat to you soon. Bye.